Hello everyone, Kent Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org. Hello everybody, this is Kent Bressler and we're going to do some podcasting. I hope you enjoy it. I have a really great friend on that I've kind of really bonded with in the kidney community, and we're going to talk to him about his transplant experience and just generally his life. He's been a good friend. So let's pray. Let's get started. Dearest Lord, all the times we think about that we know it all, and we place little effort into asking you for forgiveness and praising you for what you've already given us. We ask that you allow us to walk with you in your radiant, shining light and make sure that we understand the importance of our faith in you. May the Holy Spirit lift us up so that we may do good work. And yet, look down with your grace upon all of us because we are human. And your divine light is what will bring us to your great glory. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to tell you about a friend of mine, Armand Halter. Now, Armand has a great story, and I want you to pay close attention because he graphically tells you exactly what's happened to him in his life. And I can tell you what, it's really a great kidney story. So, hello, Armand. How are you?
Hi, Kent. How you been?
I've been good. It's good to see you. Listen, there's a lot of things have gone on now with this COVID and everything. And one of the things is that a lot of people spend the time on the internet. And I've known you from NKF, and one of the things that really interested me was the story you told me about your kidney transplant. Tell me a little bit about your journey as a transplant recipient.
Sure. When I was very young, kindergarten age, I had an infection in my right kidney. At first, the doctor, because of the size of it, they thought I had a horseshoe kidney that was infected. I had an operation to go in and deal with that. When they got in there, it wasn't. And they weren't prepared to do much else. What I had was a necking of the ureter at the kidney and at the bladder that was preventing the kidney from draining. So they weren't prepared to deal with that operation, that would take 2 operations anyway. So while they were there, they took out my appendix. So
2 for 1.
Yeah, well, it gets a little better. So so then they scheduled the operation to go in and remove the necking near the kidney and stretch the ureter up to the kidney and let that heal. And and then they had me come back in again for another operation to stretch the ureter down to the bladder. And I went through that. And it was during one of those recoveries in the hospital that I injured myself. climbing in and out of the bed because there were no small beds for kids. It was just a regular bed. So you had, as a kid, you would have to climb up, the railing stuff. And while doing that, I got a hernia. So then that was another operation, a separate operation that they had to go in and repair the hernia. So I think that wound up being a total of 4 operations.
At the age of what?
About 5.
5, okay.
So I was hardly in kindergarten that year. But, anyway, that was what they could do in the 50s to correct the problem. The problem is they now had a straight pipe between the kidney and the bladder, and which allowed the urine to backflow to a certain extent to the right kidney. And that ultimately led to an infection in the kidney that over time destroyed the right kidney, but then spread to the left kidney. And but that takes quite a bit of time. It wasn't until I was 40 years of age that I was finally diagnosed with kidney failure. And the only reason that happened, because, I hadn't gone to a physician for a routine annual checkup because I was, not yet 40. I was going every 3 months to donate blood at a large company nearby that I had worked for originally. The nice thing about giving blood is you get donuts and coffee. So
Yeah.
I say no more, I'll be there. So, and as part of giving blood, they determined that my creatinine level was very high, and they wound up notifying my wife by phone call that your husband needs to make an appointment with an internist because he has kidney failure. And she was at home when she got the call that day, obviously, because we didn't have cell phones. And she was in the process of making dinners before the kids showed up. We had 2 boys. They were young, around 10 years of age and 7. And when I got home, she was pretty upset, to say the least.
Here you got a sick husband and raising 2 kids. So
Yeah. Well,
how good can it get?
Yeah, but it's just.
Yeah. Bang.
Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So I went to, I got an appointment, and the doctors had me do some blood tests, and he said, you have end-stage renal failure. Actually, end-stage renal disease, excuse me.
Yeah.
ESR.
ESC, yeah.
And, it's quite a shock. Anytime somebody uses the phrase end stage in front of anything else, there's a finality to it that this is it. This is the big one.
Yeah.
And it took me a while before I realized that, this wasn't going to kill me. But I was pretty far gone at that point. I was down to about 10% function. And they controlled my creatinine by controlling my diet. So your only friend at that point is white rice. And
The white rice diet.
yeah. Or you can soak potatoes for a half hour and have another boiled potato. But anyway, I went through that. But within 6 months, I had to go on peritoneal dialysis. And I did. And but still, it's a trying time. And I remembered in the nephrologist down in New Jersey where I had the Tankoff catheter installed saying to me, this isn't going to kill you. This is not going to kill you. You have a beautiful wife. You have two kids. Dialysis will keep you alive. This is not going to kill you. And, it seems like a small statement, but it's not. It's not. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a fun time. And you got to do what you got to do. So I was on peritoneal dialysis. Ultimately, that was for 3 years locally, 3.5 years, something to that effect. And the nephrologists locally, they never talked about transplantation. It was the dialysis nurses in the Bacchus Hospital in Norwich that told me, go check it out. So I did. And so I go down to the premier hospital in the state. And that didn't go well. I mean, you interview with the surgeon and so forth, but the protocol at the time was you would have to they were going to remove my native kidneys to make sure I couldn't transmit any infection. Of course, they were literally just raisins at the time because I was on.
Deteriorated.
I had been on dialysis for at least a year, and but that was their protocol. And that just threw me off getting a transplant because
Didn't want to go through it.
I didn't want to go through it because of that. I mean, that time, the way they removed the kidneys, they went in through the back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
When I was originally diagnosed, I was so far gone that the nephrologist locally, I mean, they did a biopsy on my kidney, or they tried.
Couldn't find it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. So I come back from the biopsy, and I'm up in the room recovering from that, and
Yep.
they come in and they said, we're going to have to go down again and do it because we biopsied your liver.
Oops.
Yeah. I had to go back down again.
Yeah. Not funny.
No, it's not funny.
Not funny at all.
And it's really not funny when later on, when I'm at the center in New Jersey with the nephrologist there, installing my Tenkoff catheter, when he says, I don't know why they bothered biopsying you. That was totally unnecessary. And
Your kidneys were gone. Yeah.
there was nothing they could do to stop the infection. Like that. So, yes, sometimes you feel like a medical
Yeah, you are.
experiment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyway, I was off of the idea of getting a transplant, and you hear stories about there's people that there are surgeons out there who've been on peritoneal dialysis for 13 years and stuff, and are still functioning and what have you. But so I can do this for the rest of my life. But about a year later, this is too much because it does grate on you. I mean, I had to instill 14 liters a day, which meant that since I was working, that I was hooking myself up and basically going to bed at 8 o'clock at night to get up at 6 o'clock, so I could get to work and so forth. And travel was a problem. Yes, we went skiing in Utah once. We had everything shipped out there. I mean, the cycler was checked baggage, but the fluids had been shipped separately. But they almost lost my bag in transit.
Oh gosh.
Well, we did go skiing in Maine, and we rented a van for that trip and to handle all the supplies. And ultimately, we wound up buying the van that everybody buys, a Dodge Caravan. And we went to Montreal and Quebec City with the boys, and but it's trying. I mean, we're in Montreal. We're getting help from the bellman to take all the stuff in, which is, 14 liters per day. We're going on a week's trip to 2 cities, plus the tubing supplies, the alcohol wipes, you name it, and the cycler. And so we're stacking that stuff up in front of the hotel, and he's loading it on the carts and so forth. And the bellman says, "Are you conducting a medical experiment in your room?" And meaning it as a joke, but it's not funny.
Wasn't a joke at all, yeah.
And not to me.
No.
And I was upset later. I mean, I don't know if the kids were asleep, but you're having a conversation with your wife that basically says you're better off without me, type of deal. And that's not healthy.
No.
But you go through those emotions, and so it's not an easy process. Getting a transplant is definitely a better way to go, and you become far more independent. But I then about a year later, after being disenchanted with transplantation for about a year, I went to see the folks up at Hartford Hospital in Connecticut. And no, we don't, it's not necessary to remove the native kidneys, which
Floored you.
I'm an engineer, so no matter what somebody is saying, I'm evaluating what they're saying.
Sure.
If it makes sense. So I have a good, doctors like engineers because they have the records, they have the details.
Yep.
I have my spreadsheet out there, and I remember one doctor, and he said, I never knew the medications cost this much. No, they just prescribe it, right?
Yeah, we just write the prescription and you go down and take care of it, right?
Yeah, I handed him this, and it has my co-pays, and then you see what it would be without it. And wow, this is so. Anyway, I got listed up in Hartford, and I got transplanted about a year and a half later. It was Dr. Bardis, who was my surgeon, called my home at 3 a.m, woke me up out of a very deep sleep, and said he had a kidney. And I don't think I said anything, certainly not anything that was coherent at first. I'm trying to figure it out. Do you want a kidney? And I said, yes. And then get up here, be up here by 6 a.m. And so that's what I did.
So you have a real interesting story about your transplant, though. This is something I want people to pay close attention to. So tell us about that transplant.
My donor was a cadaveric pediatric transplant, and I received both of the young child's organs, and they were transplanted on my left side by side, fully functional. So I have as many kidneys as any normal person on the street. So
two pediatric kidneys in your left side.
Yep. Yeah. The right side was out because I'd had too many operations.
Right. So these kidneys, you said when I first talked to you that they actually did grow. They actually filled the space.
They do. I don't know the exact time frame, but they needed to put in 2 because initially they see the load of an adult, they respond to it, and will grow, but it takes some time. Kind of like what they do with, I guess, with a liver transplant.
Sure.
And that responds and grows with time. So, they're one's bigger than the other. If I lie flat on a flat surface and feel on the left side, I can feel both of them.
Really? You can feel them both beating?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm not that fast.
Yeah, I get it. So you talked about emotion. That emotion with not only the kidney disease, but even it follows you all the way through transplant. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
things come over you. You'd be sitting in church or whatever, and all of a sudden you just tear up. Do you do that?
Uh, yeah, it, it's, I mean, every year on the date of my transplant, I think of that child because that child would be about 28 years old, uh, getting married, having kids, uh, starting a business, starting a career. Uh, so yeah, so
Oh, you have a history now. That's something that will come back to you. It's almost like PTSD in a way, only actually after you think through it, it's a good thing.
yeah, but
Uh,
I think of that family every year.
oh, sure, sure.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is with kidney patients in your case, I understand it, but with me, sometimes I don't get what it's an emotional thing. I'm very happy to have done what I did, but it still carries an emotional component. I can't explain it, but everybody that I've talked to, a lot of people that I talk to have that tearing up effect, or they get,
well,
especially right after they get transplanted.
like we said a little bit earlier, you're first told that you have ESRD, end stage renal disease, and you think that's it,
Yep.
not it, but the average person would. I mean, a lot of us, most of us, probably have known people that were, you know, knew people that got diagnosed with cancer, and you think it's like that, especially with a name like end stage, anything. So,
Yeah. Yep.
and but then I would keep remembering that nephrologist in New Jersey who said to me that this won't kill you. There'll be something else. This will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. I know you're heavy into NKF, and you do a lot of peer mentoring, and it just kind of enlighten us about what peer mentoring is all about, and how you're doing that.
Um, that was the first thing that I got interested in NKF about and why I contacted them. And the problem for me was they only did the training once a year, and I had missed it that year. Uh, this was in the fall of 2018. So, as the consolation prize, would you be interested in becoming an advocate? And I said, sure. So that was the first kidney summit that I attended in 2019, the following spring. And so after that, I contacted NKF again. I said, I really want to become a peer mentor. So I guess but you have to go through this training program. And when I eventually had to, since I was going to be on vacation, I was allowed to take it like a correspondence course and listen to the recordings of the course. And then I was accepted. Right now I have 8 mentees. The limit is
Eight.
eight.
Oh my gosh. Mm.
Six women and 2 men. I have them in my calendar, and what helps me is I try to add in the town where they're from, since I don't have a facial reference
Nope.
to recall the prior conversation. I can associate them with where they're from, be it from Baltimore or Fort Worth or Cape Cod or Denver or Minneapolis or Charlotte or Dayton, Ohio, on and on. But I was telling my wife the other day that, yeah, 3/4 of them are women. And, it's kind of a shame that men don't reach out and call NKF and sign up for the Peers program, because I can't tell you how many mentees have appreciated the calls. In fact, the one I referred to you, I gave him your name, and he said, I will call him Mr. Armand. That's because he doesn't know my last name.
Right. That they don't give the last name.
Oh,
Right.
And I mean, he was tearing up. I will. You take care of yourself. I'm taking care of myself. You take care of yourself. I pray for you. My mother prays for you. Oh, geez, I can't take all this.
Yeah, but they do. They mean that. They really do. They're so grateful.
He's so very sincere, and he's the one I've had the longest. Others have gone because all of a sudden you can't reach them anymore.
Right.
Or, this one woman who had a very bad experience with peritoneal dialysis. She had gotten her Tinkoff catheter installed, and they had the operation. They accidentally punctured her intestine. So she was
perfect.
in the hospital where they were fighting off the infections and like that. And then she was upset about that, and she was able to. She was going to spend Christmas week at a place with her family in South Carolina, and she came back from that, and she got the news from her transplant center that they had a kidney for, and she was shocked because she had a very, very high PRA, the antigen level.
Uh-huh.
And so she was not expecting it, but in that 2-month period, this donor had become available with the same PRA from the same area, the city or what have you. And so when I called, she was elated, whatever. Well, I've got a surprise for you. And I said, what's that? Right? So I got my kidney, and it was as exciting for me as for her to get, because you relive your own experience.
Oh yeah.
But she had gone through so much, and then there's another person who she was complaining that she was not able to have communications. Her center was not being communicative with her about what her status was, and I so I looked up on it's TXMultilisting is the site. So I looked it up there where she was, her blood type, which was O, her PRA, which I think it's above 80. I think it was 85 to 89, something like that. And the center that she was dealing with is a premier medical center. They have 4 or 5 centers in that area. Everybody knows the name and like that. And their wait time was 8 years for her blood type and
Right.
PRA. But the other center there, which is, hey, if you're doing transplantation, you're no slouch. You're a damn good hospital. And the wait time was 5 years. So one was as far as a transplant, one was a red dot, one was a yellow dot. And I said, you need to be your own advocate. If they're not talking to you, that's not what should happen. If they're not calling you back, if you feel like you don't want to pester them, that you're in the way, if you have feelings like that, that's not right for you. You've got to go someplace else. So I said, you got to be your own advocate and call up the other center. And she was afraid that the first center would find out. I said, they're not calling them.
No.
And so you'll just have to, you can get listed with them. You're going to have a second place to go with your blood work every month. But that's just another task you got to go through. You're going to have double appointments and like that. But you need to follow up. So I think she's going to do it.
Good. That's what most people need, is just a little nudge, because they don't understand it. They think they're.
Sometimes I get it. I get upset myself because I feel that they're not being treated well.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
By that particular provider, and I get upset, and I feel like I'm yelling at them, and it's close, but it's not quite.
It's excitement.
And they know I've been through it.
Yeah.
And it's they know where I'm coming from, so it's accepted. It's different than, because we're not strangers. We've never met, but we're not strangers.
Right. You've developed a relationship,
Right.
a close relationship.
I can talk to them about how they clean their exit for the Tenkoff catheter or whatever. I can ask them, are you still peeing and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And these relatively personal questions that you're asking, it's not the same because you've been through it.
You've experienced it. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's an old saying: if you want to know what the road up ahead is like, ask somebody coming back down that road. And
yeah. Great.
and that's exactly what this situation is. I mean, we all got on the road by different means, but it was headed towards a transplantation. And then you come back down that road, going through the what starts off as frequent doctor visits to more infrequent doctor visits. I'm going every 6 months now. It's maybe you're at the point sometimes where, what is my transplant nephrologist's name?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, there was.
Well, this peer mentor program,
Yeah.
it's good for people, and hopefully they can expand it. Yeah, I don't know if they will or not.
I don't know how many people they have, or how many people they're dealing with. As a peer, you're not a social worker.
No, you're not, and you're not a medical advisor.
You might, in fact, be telling them to seek help from a social worker, that they
Your
need
guy.
counseling,
Yep.
or something to that effect. But I mean, they'll ask you your peer will ask you medical questions. I said, you really got to ask that
Yeah.
if you're the dietitian, the doctor, your center.
Yeah.
But once again, you got to be your own advocate. Make sure you understand. You can ask the question 3 or 4 times until you understand it. You're the customer. You're the client.
That's right.
And this is a different time. But you still got to be your own advocate. I mean, the doctors now coming out of school, yes, they have better bedside manners. I'll tell you a story after when I was out of the transplant. One of the things that happened to me with that, I wasn't able to pee because my prostate had enlarged.
Yeah.
While I
Yeah.
was on peritoneal dialysis. So the resident there at the time at the transplant group he used the phrase, well, there's nothing more we can do for him. So now my wife again is freaking out.
Oh no.
Okay. Right?
Nothing more we can do for you.
Right. My surgeon comes in, Dr. Bardis, and he takes him outside for a private consult.
Yeah. Re-instruction session.
You know, we're going to have you see a neurologist and like that. You know, basically the process was I had to self-catheterize myself
Sure,
for
sure. Yep.
6 months until they, you know, I was at a point where they could do another surgery, which was the TURP procedure, a
Right.
transurethral
Resection of the prostate.
yeah, and the Roto-Rooter job. Yeah, that's
Roto-Rooter. Before I forget it, I want to give this place where people can come in, jump in, and get on this peer mentor program. It's kidney.org, right? Kidney.org. Get on that website, look for peer mentor, and that's mentor program, and you can sign up for it. Okay, now that I've cut you off and ruined your train of thought because you're just a few years younger than I am, let's say
1 year. One finger up in the air.
Okay, listen, you have a great story about your family. And what I want to do, if it's okay with you, I want to bring you back to talk about your mother. Would you do that? Would you do that? I think it would be great. And that way I get to spend more time with you anyway, right?
That's right, since nobody's traveling.
That's right. I mean, we could, and so we're going to have you come back, and we're going to talk about your mom, which is a great story, and I want people to hear it. Okay, folks, that was Armand Halter, and let me tell you, that was a good interview. And what we're going to do is we're going to have him back, but he made some really great points. Is that you can't just vacillate and expect others to help you out. You got to be your own advocate. I really, really want you to think about that. If you're having trouble, you can go to kidney.org and peer up, and you'll be able to work with someone who's had the experience, and they're good mentors. So try that. But also, just remember, if you're having difficulty, you gotta ask for help. Help is it's just a way of saying, gee whiz, if I could get a little help, I think I could do better. And that's true, you can. So there are plenty of people out there. Ask your physician, ask anybody else in the kidney community. We'll be more than happy to help you with it. So until our next time, keep breathing.